Hello, my name is Brent Moore, Executive Director of the Children's Safety Village of Central Florida. I'd like to welcome you to our 14th annual Water Safety Awareness Media event. May is National Water Safety Month, and this group of partners, agencies, and supporters are here today to bring attention to water safety and drowning prevention here in Central Florida. Here in the state of Florida, drowning continues to be the leading cause of unintentional deaths of children aged 1 to 4. Already this year, our state has experienced some tragic drowning deaths, including cases here in Central Florida, and even one is too many. The messages that are presented today, along with organizations that help us like Every Child a Swimmer, the Central Florida Water Safety Task Force, and Step in the Swim, demonstrates how serious we are about protecting children and families, because it truly takes a village. To officially begin today's event, I'd like to introduce the Board President of the Children's Safety Village of Central Florida, Ms. Shelby Afrifa.
Thank you, Brent. On behalf of the Board of Directors, staff, and volunteers of the Children's Safety Village of Central Florida, thank you all for being present and for being here today. The Children's Safety Village of Central Florida is a nonprofit organization dedicated to the vision of making Central Florida the safest community for children. For 30 years, the Children's Safety Village has been one of the community's leading authorities in childhood safety programs. The Safety Village mission is to prevent injuries and fatalities of children through life-saving education, advocacy, and leadership. As we complete spring and head into summer, now is one of the most dangerous times for water-related accidents and death among children and adults. We take this time to come together and bring attention to water safety and to stress the importance of water safety and also the importance of swim lessons. We're fortunate to have Orlando Health Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children to share our efforts to keep our children safe. They, along with some other very special guests, are all working toward the same goal, if not eliminating, lowering child drowning fatalities throughout all of Central Florida. So let me welcome our first speaker from our presenting sponsor, Orlando Health Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children, Dr. Jenna Wheeler.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be back, and such an honor to be a part of Orlando Health and Arnold Palmer and be able to help sponsor Pool Central and all of these wonderful swimming lessons that we do. This is my third year coming, and I always struggle a little bit with this talk because I want to be so positive and so excited about everything that we do here, because everything here in this building with the Children's Safety Village is such a wonderful, positive thing. But unfortunately, what brings us here and what necessitates us coming together is drowning. And drowning is something that is horrific. I come from a different part of the country before getting to call myself a Central Floridian, and there we didn't really see drowning. But here in Florida, where we have 12,000 square miles of water around us, we have pools, we have the ocean, we have retention ponds, we have bathtubs, we have lakes, we have all these things that draw our children for such a fun time, but such a dangerous time. We have to look at our friends with autism, with different disabilities, who we know that water is such an exciting draw, but unfortunately puts them at even higher risk than another child might be. We want to remember talking about barriers, talking about alarms, things that can prevent children from going to water when they're not being supervised. Unfortunately, at Arnold Palmer last year in 2025, we had 73 admissions with 17 deaths from drowning. It's not acceptable. As you mentioned, even one child dying from drowning is too many. Our aim here is to have a year where we have no admissions, we have no deaths throughout not only Central Florida, but throughout Florida and throughout the country. This year so far, we've had 23 admissions with 6 deaths in 2026. It's too many. It's too many for families to have to go through, for families to lose children, for our first responders to have to show up on the scene and see a child who's not going to make it, for us to see in our community, to have to talk about. We want all of our children to be able to see water as a positive, to be healthy swimmers, to be able to have a swimming lesson like a program here so that if they are in the water, they can safely survive until an adult can get to them and rescue them. We want to remind all of our parents CPR certification. And I'll say our non-parents too. You never know if you're going to be the adult who's able to be at that pool or body of water and rescue a child. My teenage daughter came home last week and told me, "Mom, do you know that I'm now CPR certified?" It was such a proud moment for what I do and working in a children's hospital, and it's so amazing. So of course I quizzed her and tested her on some of the knowledge just to make sure. But it is, and her teacher, when he trained them, told them that over the course of doing this, he's had 5 students alone who've been involved in rescue of people who have required CPR. And so I think for us here talking about pool safety, training ourselves, being on the lookout, being part of a community, obviously we want parents to be looking out for their children, but let's help them. Let's be sure that a child that we see near water has someone supervising them and is going to be safe. So thank you so much, and again, I'm so proud to be associated with this organization and all the wonderful things we do here. I'd like to introduce Sheriff John Mina.
Well, good morning, and thank you, Dr. Wheeler, and I will echo a lot of what the doctor said. So as the summer heat approaches, many families, and especially our kids, are going to be looking to find that water to cool off. And here in Central Florida, we have many, many resorts and millions of visitors that come here. And unfortunately, Orange County deputies respond to a number of those resorts and pools for drownings. But it's not only the pools. Unfortunately, we have found that many children, especially those with autism who are attracted to the water, have found their way into these lakes. And just Orange County deputies responded to 40 drownings last year, and unfortunately 5 of those ended up in deaths, all of them under 7 years of age. This is 100% preventable. The doctor talked about many of the things we can do. We can give our kids the tools that they need to learn how to survive in the water. We can explain to our parents that our children need to be watched constantly, especially those who are attracted to water and feel the need to get in the water, who may not have the skills to survive. And we can also learn how to do CPR. Those are all of the things that we all can do to prevent this. Again, it's 100% preventable. And this year in 2026, we've already responded to 7 drownings, 2 of which ended in fatalities. Last year, our deputies actually entered alligator-filled retention pond to rescue a child, which was a success story. But we're not going to be able to be there all the time, so that's why it's so very necessary, so imperative that we utilize the Children's Safety Village and other organizations and areas that are going to teach our kids how to swim, teach them the skills to survive in the water until a parent or guardian can get there. And then again, a reminder to our parents. And I'm a dad as well, and I remember when my boys were little, they get out of your sight quick. It just happens like that, and we all know it. So let's prevent that next tragedy. Let's watch our children. Let's give them the skills they need to survive in the water until an adult to get there. So thank you all for being here. And so it's all about spreading awareness and prevention. Several years ago, we did a very successful video with Mr. Rosen, may he rest in peace, and that video on water safety and drownings and the way to prevent those drownings is played in every single hotel in the area, so that when families check in, they can see that message. So we're just asking that you spread the word, get it out there, especially with the summer heat coming. And thank you all for being here, and I'm happy to announce Dr. Salman Trejo from Department of Health here in Orange County.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Florida Department of Health in Orange County, I want to reinforce, whether you're at the beach or a pool in the backyard, always apply these recommendations. Have a water watcher. And for pool owners, make sure you have a barrier of protection, like a fence. And don't forget to lock your pool screen door and the door to your pool. Drowning is fast, it's silent, and it can happen to anyone. In Florida, drowning is the #1 preventable death in children between the ages of 1 and 4. Distracted caregivers are the primary factor in child drowning incidents. And pools are not the only locations for drownings. In the time that it takes to throw a load of laundry into the wash or answer a knock at the door, a child can drown. Babies can drown in as much as 1 to 2 inches of water because they don't have the required muscle or mobility control in their neck. Never leave a child unattended. This includes at the beach and in the bathroom, especially near bath time, even when using supporting infant bathtubs and bath seats. Infants can tip over, slip down, and drown with just a few inches of water in the tub. The majority of bathtub deaths occur when the caregiver is not present. We want you to know that water safety is everyone's responsibility. Annually, there are enough children under the age of 5 that we have lost in Florida due to drowning to fill 3 to 4 preschool classrooms. These deaths were 100% preventable. And it's important that parents, caregivers, and communities are aware of the drowning risk and exercise prevention strategies as it relates to how to be safe in and around water. We ask for proper supervision. It's the most effective drowning prevention. Know your surroundings and possible drowning risk at home and when traveling. Ensure young children are always supervised by trusted caregivers. Teach your children to never be near water without an adult. Assign a water watcher, and ensure they understand this designation. Never leave a child alone near water, not even for a second. Utilize barriers, locks, alarms, and door chimes to water access. And of course, be prepared because seconds count. CPR training saves lives. And now I'll introduce the Division Chief, William Farhat.
Good morning. I'd like to start by thanking the Children's Safety Village for this holding this event. Water safety is crucially important, and this effort serves to educate parents, children, and the community on best practices and fundamental importance of water safety and teaching children to swim. Drowning is a leading cause of death in children 1 to 4 years old, and children with autism is a higher risk for drowning within any age group. At all times, but especially with now pool season officially upon us, it is important that we practice water safety and promote the benefits of taking important but reasonable precautions to prevent a tragedy. Adults need to remember that children love playing in water, and while we want people to enjoy the year-round warm climate here in Central Florida, we want to do it safely, and we urge parents and visitors to follow the ABCs of water safety. A is for adult supervision. I cannot emphasize enough that parents and caregivers the importance of their direct role in water safety. They can never leave children unattended around water, and they must always practice active supervision when children are in or around water. Drowning is a silent but preventable tragedy, so please remain vigilant. B is for barriers. Homes and businesses with pools or bodies of water nearby need to use multiple layers of protection like fences, gates, alarms, and safety covers to keep children safe. And the more barriers, the better, as children will still attempt to gain entry to a pool. Orange County Fire Rescue offers free installation of pool alarms like the ones I'm holding here, and for anyone who within our response area. And it's not only for pools, but if you have a lake or a water supply nearby, we can install these for you to give you a better chance of knowing that a child is trying to gain entry to those areas. You can visit ocfl.net/door alarms or call 311 to schedule a home installation. C is for classes. That includes swim lessons for kids and CPR classes for adults. Swim lessons are crucial for any child at any age. Not only do they learn to have confidence in water, but they gain valuable experience, such as learning how to float and how to move through the water. Learning CPR is crucial in the unfortunate event of a drowning occurs. The chances of survival are significantly increased when CPR is administered until medical professionals arrive. These skills help greatly reduce the risk of water-related emergencies. The Center for Disease Control's report that formal swimming lessons can reduce the risk of drowning as much as 88% among children 1 to 4 age group, and who have the highest risk of drowning. So combining all what I've shared with that, we can enjoy water without having a threat of a preventable tragedy occur. And now I'd like to introduce Kirby Morgan with the Florida Department of Children and Families.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I am the State Child Fatality Data Analyst for DCF, and thank you to Brent and the Children's Safety Village for having me and hosting this event. I collect and analyze drowning data to drive prevention efforts here in Orange County, throughout Central Florida, and statewide. Water safety and drowning prevention has always been important, now more than ever in our state, as we lead the nation in pediatric fatal drownings. We are the only state in the nation that is in the top 5 for count and for rate. As of May 6th, DCF has received 27 fatal drownings statewide, 10 of which have occurred here in Central Florida, 5 of them having been here in Orange County. In 2025, DCF had the highest total ever received, with 120 fatal drownings reported and accepted for investigation. Central Florida had 50 of those 120. Orange County had 7 and Osceola had 14, which was the highest number county-wise in the state last year. From 2009 to 2025, in that 17-year time period, DCF received and accepted for investigation 1,454 fatal drownings. 488 of those drownings occurred here in Central Florida, which was the highest percentage at 33.5%. Polk County, Orange County, Osceola County, and Orange County were in the top 10 counties statewide and put Central Florida at number 1 when it comes to DCF's regions. Of the 1,454, 1,006 or 69% occurred in pools. The others occurred, 19% occurred in open water, 8% occurred in bathtubs, and 3.5% occurred in other bodies of water. In my data analysis and research over that 17-year time period, I identified 30 different types of bodies of water where children have suffered a fatal drowning incident in the state of Florida. 82% of those children, or 1,202, were 0 to 4 years old. So the children that are 4 and under are those that are at the highest risk to suffer a fatal drowning incident. 1,128, or 84%, occurred during non-swim time, when they were not actively in the pool with someone. 1,347, or 92.6%, were Florida residents. Tourism, as we know, because we're in Central Florida, is a big deal. But it's our Florida residents that are drowning more than anyone else. I would like to emphasize that not all fatal drownings of children under the age of 18 are reported to the Department of Children and Families. Per Florida's Department of Health, Florida charts, from 2009 to 2024, 1,739 children died from fatal drowning in the state of Florida. In June of 2023, the U.S. National Water Safety Action Plan was launched, and it's a 10-year plan to reduce fatal drownings in the United States. One of the directives of that national plan was for each state to develop their own plan or strategy. In the last 3 years, California, New Jersey, New Hampshire, and Hawaii have all launched their plans. My co-worker, Tina Morgan, and I have led the creation of Florida's water safety strategy over the last 2.5+ years, and it's currently awaiting approval for launch and implementation. Since 2022, I have attended the last 5 national water safety conferences, having presented and been a panel member. And this past February in Colorado Springs, one of my panel questions was whether or not I was aware of anyone else that has done data analysis like I've done, child welfare-wise, anywhere else in the United States. I did some checking with the National Child Fatality Review Board, and they told me that no, nobody has done anything like this to your level. And so I'm going to continue the work. I'm going to continue delving into the data. And the main lesson that I've learned from attending these national conferences is that to strive for a coordinated effort and expand beyond silo work. Important work is done within your community, but you need to coordinate on a statewide level to drive prevention efforts here in the state of Florida. To help prevent fatal drownings, you can find drowning prevention information at watersmartflorida.com and follow the National Drowning Prevention Alliance's Layers of Protection, which is barriers and alarms, water competency, supervision, life jackets, and emergency preparation. And more information can be found on their website at ndpa.org. Thank you, and at this time I would like to introduce Senator Carlos Guillermo Smith.
Thank you, Kirby, and thank you for all of your work in collecting so much of this critical data that we need to fully understand the crisis that is fatal child drowning in the state of Florida. My name is Carlos Guillermo Smith. I'm a state senator. I represent Florida Senate District 17. And I think it's important to contextualize a lot of the data that Kirby has just provided us, that he has been collecting and tracking from the Department of Children and Families. First and foremost, let's acknowledge that in Florida, the number one cause of death for children ages 1 through 4 is drowning. Now let's look at this data over the years to see how this problem has progressed. In 2023 in Florida, 97 children statewide fatally drowned in our state. In 2024, 105 children fatally drowned in our state. Last year, in 2025, sadly, 120 children fatally drowned in our state. We shattered our own previous record for the number of fatal child drownings, and we led the nation with that statistic, with more child drownings, fatal child drownings in our state compared to any other state. And to Kirby's point, I do want to draw attention to the fact that it is not just the quantity of fatal child drownings here that is so staggering in Florida. It is also the rate of fatal child drowning in our state that continues to be among the highest in the nation. I also want to acknowledge how this crisis disproportionately impacts our most vulnerable. Last year, according to data that Kirby has been collecting at the Department of Children and Families, 1 in 4 of those fatal child drownings was an autistic child who fatally drowned. So in the Florida legislature, the Florida Senate understood this problem and decided that we were ready to take action this year to do our part to prevent fatal child drownings in the state of Florida. And while there are many factors we know contribute to child drowning in the state of Florida, we realized there were a lot of areas for action at the state level that we could be a part of. First and foremost, it was expanding access to the child voucher, the swim voucher program that is available to low-income families in the state of Florida. It is raising awareness and education of the many dangers that can lead to child drowning in the state, especially amongst new parents. And it's also consistent water safety regulations. In the year 2000, which is now 26 years ago, the state of Florida and the Florida legislature enacted the Florida Pool Safety Act, the Residential Pool Safety Act. It was a good step forward, but it left a glaring loophole. The Residential Pool Safety Act in Florida requires that all new residential swimming pools built after the year 2000 be equipped with at least one water safety feature, either an exit alarm, a flotation device on the water, self-latching and self-locking doors and windows that lead out to the pool, a pool cover, or a pool fence. Just one of those 5 water safety features needs to be equipped in a home with a residential pool that was built after the year 2000. The glaring loophole is obvious. All residential pools built before the year 2000 are completely exempt. We also know that our vacation rentals and residential rental properties are also completely exempt, regardless of the fact that they are vacation rentals licensed by the state of Florida with a residential swimming pool on the premises. So this year, I'm happy to report that 2 drowning prevention bills passed unanimously in the full Florida Senate. First and foremost, Senate Bill 658. This will raise the water safety standard for all residential rental properties, including vacation rentals, to say that regardless of the year that that swimming pool was constructed, that they would be required to be equipped with at least one pool safety feature or water safety feature, including for those residential rental properties that have a body of water within 150 feet of the home, even beyond a swimming pool, maybe a lake or a retention pond that is nearby the residential rental property. This is absolutely critical in making sure that we have consistent water safety regulations no matter where families live or they visit in the state of Florida. While Senate Bill 658 passed the Florida Senate unanimously, sadly, it was not adopted in the Florida House, and so we're committed to coming back next year. But the second bill that passed the Florida Senate unanimously also passed the Florida House of Representatives unanimously and was recently signed by the governor into law. And that is Senate Bill 428, a bipartisan bill that I co-introduced alongside Senator Clay Yarborough, Representative Ana V. Escamani of here in Orlando, and Representative Kim Kendall. What this legislation does is it raises awareness on the dangers related to child drowning, specifically by requiring all hospitals, all birthing centers, and all childbirth educators to include drowning prevention and safe bathing procedures as part of their required postpartum education before the new mother is discharged from that facility. What the legislation also does is it expands Florida's child swim lesson voucher to include eligibility for ages 1 through 7, expanding the ages that are eligible to have access to this program. Now, I'll be returning to Tallahassee early next week, where we're expected to finalize the budget, where we will continue advocating to fully fund or better fund and expand funding for that child swim lesson voucher program. Look, 100% of these fatal child drownings are preventable, and we know exactly how they are preventable. It's constant supervision. It is stronger education and access to swimming lessons, but it is also consistent water safety regulations, particularly some of the alarms and the pool fencing and many of the different water safety regulations that you heard about today. We are committed to continuing that work, to continuing that progress, and making sure that we address this epidemic of child drowning in the state of Florida. And so next, I would like to introduce our next speaker. That's going to be the Chief of the Orlando Fire Department, Jacqueline Pollock.
I appreciate the promotion. My name is Jackie Pollock. I'm the District Chief of the Training Division for District Chief. Our fire chief is in the audience, but I appreciate the promotion. As I said, I'm the District Chief of Training with Orlando Fire Department. And many of the points and principles that I was going to talk on, and I will, have already been touched by everyone here. And all that is a testament to how important each one of those points is and how important this initiative is. So before I go into those things, I just want to kind of bring it back and maybe put a little bit of a personal touch to this with my own experience. Obviously, I'm a first responder, so I have experienced these incidents, these tragedies, in a professional setting. But I've also played a role on a personal level as a citizen. And as we've mentioned, the many resort pools, resort hotels in Central Florida, I found myself years ago enjoying a staycation at a resort pool. And we were enjoying the water, and believe it or not, we were all having a conversation, myself, my family, and a group of friends, as to how easy it is for children to go unnoticed. We were sharing a large resort-style pool with hundreds of people. I'd say easily 400, 500, 600 people. And there's just people everywhere. And we were talking about how easy it is to mistake whether a child is playing, you know, if they're just kind of floating on the bottom. And as we're having that conversation, a child floated by. And we're like, see this one right here. See, I can't tell. In that moment, everything materialized and we realized I noticed his mother running and screaming and pointing at him from the shoreline. At that moment, we all realized this child was drowning in front of us. So we were halfway into the pool or halfway down the middle, but he had floated from the beach entry, just didn't know how to swim and became buoyant, didn't know what to do. But he passed close to 100 people before anyone noticed what was happening with him. So that's just to reiterate. Now, ultimately, we had a happy ending. We went over to him, got him out quick. He was initially unresponsive and not breathing, but we revived him, and Orange County Fire Rescue showed up and took it from there, and he had a full recovery. He was here on vacation, and then he ended up going home. So that, luckily and thankfully, ended with a good ending. That's not always the case, unfortunately, as the statistics that we've been told are telling you. But moving into that, that's where I'm going to bring in the principles of the ABCs that we talked about. Again, water safety is going to encompass a whole slew of environments, and we've got them all in Central Florida. The pools, the lakes, the rivers, the boats, the water parks, even spanning the coastline, the beach. It's not our immediate area, but we still have the beach. So probably the most important thing you could do is to learn how to swim. Knowing how to swim, that's the first step. And it's going to allow people to enjoy the water, and they're going to learn the respect and appreciation and awareness of the water, okay? So that's going to obviously prevent most of these incidents from happening. Because again, everybody has touched on it. The name of the game is prevention. So initiatives like the Water Safety Awareness Program here at the Children's Safety Village plays a huge role in that. With both classroom and hands-on training here in the pool, you've got trained professionals teaching children how to swim and how to be safe in and around the water. City of Orlando also offers swimming lessons throughout the summer. It's taught by Red Cross certified instructors, and it's for all ages, down to 6 months of age, up through adulthood. Earlier the better, obviously, for learning how to swim, but it's never too late. We also run on several adult individuals who drown, and again, it's easily preventable by learning how to swim. Also, the boundaries, the gates and the fences and the enclosures. For anybody with a pool at home, make sure your pool has the proper enclosure, that it has gates and the alarms. Chief mentioned their door alarm initiative. City of Orlando also has that initiative where they're free of charge, and we will come out and install them in your home. You can get more information at orlando.gov/fire, and you can get more information on any of the information I'm giving you today. So we will come out and we will install those, and it makes, obviously, an alert to know if somebody's getting out of your house. Also, safety equipment. Keep that nearby your pool. The shepherd's hook, the swim rings. Remember to reach or throw, don't go. We want to help individuals in distress, but we also want to keep ourselves from becoming a victim as well at the same time. So also the awareness and the attention. That's the A of the ABCs. Anytime you're around water, designate a water watcher. That's an adult whose sole responsibility is to keep an eye on the water, free of distractions. Drownings, as stated, they're often silent, and they take just seconds, okay? 9 times out of 10, when someone's being interviewed after a tragedy takes place, the one statement you are almost certain to hear is, "I was only away for a few seconds. I only turned away for a few seconds. I only did this." And the regret that's going to live in that person forever is insurmountable when something so simple as just staying alert and attentive can prevent that. So like I said, when you put all of this together, it's the ABCs of water safety. A, for an active adult supervision. B, for barriers, fences, and alarms. And C, for classes, swimming lessons, the big one, and CPR. The child that we pulled out, he was unresponsive and he wasn't breathing, but with a minimal amount of resuscitation, he began breathing again. We didn't need to perform CPR, but had that been the case, we would have been prepared, obviously through what I do for work, but if you are out in the public and this happens, you want to be prepared for that, okay? So our department is prepared for these situations. Every fire apparatus in the city is staffed with trained surface water rescue personnel. So everybody is trained in surface water rescuing. We have 18 fire stations across the city. with an average response time of about 6 minutes. So we're able to respond quickly. But the reality is the situations occur like it did for me. Bystanders often make the biggest difference before first responders get there. That's where the big play is. So that's why learning hands-only CPR is so important. You'll have the ability and the knowledge to act and to help somebody before we get there. And that's going to be the difference. It's not it could make the difference, it will make the difference between life and death. A little bit of math for you to do is, and to think about, is for every minute that passes without CPR on a victim, that person's chances of survival drops by about 7 to 10%. Now, without having to crunch too many numbers, you can do that math pretty quick and realize it doesn't take long for somebody to run out of time pretty quickly. So that's where you come in. That's where the citizens come in. So with knowing those skills and couple that with tools like the free app PulsePoint that notifies you, like you may not bear witness to one of these incidents, but you can be notified of it. It's an app that tells you, hey, there's an emergency over here, somebody needs CPR. So you can have that and be ready and go in and save somebody's life. So just to close with this, our top priority is keeping the community safe. And again, the emphasis is on prevention. And in order to prevent things, you need to be prepared. And in order to prepare people, it's through education and awareness. And that's what initiatives like this take care of. So I hope everybody has a fun and safe summer and enjoys the sun. I am now going to turn it over to Ms. Casey McGovern, Executive Director of Every Child a Swimmer.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is truly an honor to stand alongside all of these leaders and advocates doing the work that they do every day. But for me, this work is deeply personal. I am a mom of a drowning victim, and not a day goes by that I wish it wasn't different. So on August 3rd, 2009, it was a normal day at home, enjoying the last days of summer, and unfortunately, the perfect storm lined up for my daughter to find her way out to the backyard swimming pool. Just to give you a little bit of context, we were enjoying the last days of summer. We had 3 girls at the time, an 11-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 19-month-old. My husband and I were there. And our youngest enjoyed the water so much, but we were big supporters of floaties, and we thought there was nothing wrong with it. We actually were so naive to think that they were actually doing well in the water when they were in the deep end wearing their floaties. It was a lack of knowledge, lack of awareness, and we thought having the pool fence around it, and we also thought was enough, and we also thought we were helicopter parents at that time as well. But the perfect storm and just how it all played out was just enough for her to be taken. So we got out of the pool after enjoying a couple hours and popsicles and lunch out by the pool area, and what I did was put her down for a nap. And my husband came in with the 2 other girls, and so I could go to the grocery store. And so from that point, going to the grocery store and coming back, I checked out of Publix at 2:46 p.m. I loaded my car with groceries. I drove my car from the grocery store to my house. I unloaded the groceries on the counter. She met me in the family room at that time because she had just gotten up from her nap, and I put her in a glider on the opposite side of my kitchen counter. The same time, it was a little busier than normal, so my husband answered the front door and conducted an interview. So he went into the front living room. I stayed in the family room in the kitchen area with Em, and our 2 other girls were in our oldest bedroom, and they're older in their bedroom. And so at one point, while I was putting my groceries away, my husband asked me a question, so I went into the front living room to answer the question, and answered the question and came back, and Em wasn't where I had left her. And so immediately, I go around the house looking very complacent, bedroom to bedroom, thinking it was just a normal day. Wasn't alarmed, and then I noticed my slider door was open. And again, the pool wasn't on my radar. And at that time, she was never able to open our 9-foot sliders. And so everything, just like I said, everything lined up for this situation to happen. And so the sliding door was open. I walked to a little swing area, a grassy area where we had a swing set. She loved it so much before I caught the glimpse of my daughter floating in our pool. And so I ran around and just held her, and thankfully my screams alerted my husband to come out, and he put her on the coping of the pool and started CPR. And at that moment, we called 911, and the 911 operator asked us to put it on the speaker. And so she guided my husband to do CPR, and thankfully his actions allowed us to have 1 week with our daughter and absorb the magnitude of what was happening and how big of a problem this truly is. And at the end of the week, I made her a promise that I would do everything in my power to raise awareness and help other families never experience the same heartache. And it's coming on 17 years, and I haven't wavered in the day. I'm very honored to do the work that I do. I'm very honored to be working alongside all of these individuals, because it's a ripple effect that you don't even see. You know, my family was impacted drastically. My neighbors, my community, my church family. My best friend who walked the journey works alongside me every day to combat this issue. Not only that, I'm very good friends with the first responders that came to my house and actually did CPR on my daughter. It's the ripple effect that goes beyond everybody seeing really what happens. And these people are heroes in my mind because of the work they do every single day. And in 29 minutes, it changed my family forever. And it was one of those things where 2:46, I'm checking out of Publix with groceries for my family of 5, to 3:15, sitting in the emergency room watching doctors try to save my daughter. It happened so quickly. I implore you to check the water first at any account. Install barriers, layers of protection. Knowledge of the hazard is first and foremost. This can happen to me, and what am I going to do to stop it? And I think the stigma attached after spending now almost 17 years in this community is it only happens to those type of people in those type of neighborhoods. No, it doesn't. It doesn't discriminate, and it can happen to anybody at any point, and you should have a plan. I always think about having a flat tire. Most of us have AAA. Most of us have jacks in our car. None of us want to have flat tires, but we're prepared in those circumstances, and I think that having water nearby has to be that same concept. I think we have to be prepared and know what we're going to do. So knowledge of the hazard, supervision. In my time in this realm and in this space, I've spent a lot of time with families that have suffered the loss as well, and they all tell the same story that I just didn't know. I didn't think about it. It was just one of those things, like, we just don't know. And so I think it's going to take all of us to continue to have these voices to cause that ripple effect of change and really make a difference. Supervision, you know, your child is very curious and very quick. One moment they're engrossed on the iPad or watching, you know, a show or having a snack, and they're done with pool time, or they're inside the home, not during non-swim time. But the next moment, they just all of a sudden just up and they go somewhere that, you know, they're not expected to go. And then you could be loading the dishwasher, helping a child with homework, and that time you turn around, check the water first at all times. So knowledge of the hazards, having the door chimes is huge because, like I always said, a $10 door chime could have alerted me to go there first. And instead, those seconds were so crucially passing as I looked through my house before I went to the pool. So having a door chime, and then if they breach that and you don't happen to have a door chime, fencing around any body of water. Again, it's not to be the end-all be-all, but it buys you another few seconds so that if that child gains entry to the pool area or water area, it allows them to now have another barrier to get through. In my case, we did not have the self-closing, self-latching gate. It was left open that afternoon as we got out staggered in that home, which never happened before, but that day it just, again, caused that perfect storm to occur. And then if all else fails, swim lessons. Swim lessons should be the absolute first sport that any parent should sign their child up for. Before dance, before t-ball, before football. I understand that they're fun, but swimming is the only sport that could technically save your child's life. So please make that the first priority. And if all else fails, no CPR. My husband knew basics at that point, and thankfully he bought us a week to process what we were going to have to endure for the rest of our life. But have those conversations. Know that there's 5 easy ways to prevent these tragedies from happening. From my daughter's death, there has been 1,428 children that have suffered the loss of drowning in our state alone since my daughter passed away. And that is too many. And we talk about numbers, we all talk about these different statistics and these numbers, but they're lives. Not a day goes by, and this time heals. 17 years has going to be passed on August 3rd, and not a day goes by that I don't go back to that August 3rd day in a very, very, very quick second. Time heals, but it doesn't take away that love, that void that child leaves, and the potential of what they could have really, truly been. And 1,428 children since my daughter passed is one too many. I mean, it has to stop. And so I implore all of you guys to just continue to have those conversations. You don't know how much they mean. You have a new family that moves next door. have the conversation, talk to them, because they might not know about the issue. And I just really, truly thank each and every one of you guys for the work that you do, and including me in this mission. And I'm honored to be running and being the executive director of Every Child a Swimmer program. And we have, what we do is we're focused on meaningful change, and we provide 3 months of swim lessons to any child that needs it, that cannot afford it. So low-income families, we do high level of accountability, and we make sure that at the end of that scholarship that that child has the means to save themselves. And with that, I can't even beyond comprehension of how blessed I am to do the work that I'm doing. But thank you all so very much. Oh, and I want to also introduce, I always mess up in some capacity, Karen Foss, who is also one of our providers for our program too, and providing amazing, amazing swim lessons here at Children's Safety Village. I think she's outside.
We would like to thank all of the speakers who came out today and hope that this extra preventative measures help you reduce unintentional drownings of children in our community, especially this summer. I want to thank everybody for being here in the audience and thank the media for coming out today.